Hola a todos, soy Mike. Bienvenidos a la guía definitiva para aprender a conjugar el verbo preocupar en español. Hi everybody, this is Mike. Welcome to the ultimate guide to learning how to conjugate the verb preocupar in Spanish. Okay, so we're going to study the verb preocupar. Preocupar in Spanish. It's a very interesting verb because it can be understood in different ways in English. We can talk about worry, or to be worried, or concern, or to be concerned. Those two verbs are the main verbs that can be translated as preocupar. Nonetheless, we can also have certain situations in which we can also understand some other verbs in English as preocupar in Spanish. So let's say mind, to mind. If I say you should mind your studies more, you should mind your studies more, that sentence can be translated as deberías preocuparte más por tus estudios. You see, deberías preocuparte más por tus estudios. In this case, the verb mind is translated or understood in Spanish as preocupar, using the direct object pronoun, preocuparte, preocuparte. Deberías preocuparte más por tus estudios. We can also think about the verb preoccupy, preoccupy. Preoccupy can be also understood as preocupar, because I can say that problem has been preoccupying him a lot. Might not be a very natural sentence, but it can be, of course, it's grammarly correct. And that could be understood also or translated also as ese problema lo ha estado preocupando mucho. To care is also another situations in which we can think about the verb preocupar in Spanish. I care about the children's well-being. I care about. Me preocupa el bienestar de los niños. In this case, this is a pronominal construction, but we also use that verb to care as preocupar. So it's a very versatile verb. Of course, in this case, sorry if my dog is kind of barking, so maybe you're gonna hear her barks. She's gonna be barking in the background. Hopefully, not as much as to give us trouble here. Anyhow, so for you to understand that this verb is very versatile, and we can find different instances of the verb in English in which we can translate that or understand that as preocupar. Let's talk about worry in the meantime, just for the sake of the explanation, and let's see these couple sentences. So I have, yo preocupo a mis padres cada vez que voy de viaje. In this case, I'm using a structure subject, verb, object. And the verb, you see, it's a transitive verb because the object is my parents in Spanish. I worry my parents every time I go on a trip. Maybe this is not really a natural way of saying in English, but this is just for the sake of the explanation, right? So, yo preocupo. In this case, the verb is conjugated depending on the subject and depending on the tense. Simple present, simple future, simple past, present perfect, conditional, the imperative mood, whatever. It changes. So I can say, tú preocupas, él preocupa, ella preocupa, and such and such. I can also use this verb with the object pronoun. In the case of this sentence, I can replace a mis padres with los. Yo los preocupo, my parents. I worry them cada vez que voy de viaje. And in this case, I also use the same conjugation rules, depending on the subject and depending on the tense. Same conjugations. Preocupar. It is a regular verb. So it's just following the rules. Now I can use this in Spanish as a reflexive verb, although in English it may sound weird. So in Spanish it's perfectly okay to say yo me preocupo cada vez que voy de viaje. Yo me preocupo. That me is a reflexive pronoun for I. Yo me preocupo. Tú te preocupas. Él se preocupa. Nosotros nos preocupamos. And that would be like I worry myself every time I go on a trip, or pretty much I'm worried every time I go on a trip. In this case, the conjugation is the same as the other two. Same thing, depending on the pronoun and depending on the tense. And the fourth instance in which we can find this verb in Spanish is with a pronominal construction, meaning the verb remains the same regardless of the pronoun, the subject, and the tense. The only thing that makes it change, regardless of the pronoun, the tense changes. It's going to change depending on the tense and on the tense, whether it's future, past, or whatever. But it remains the same for all of the indirect object pronouns. Remains the same. And also changes whether the object is either singular or plural. In this case, me preocupa ir de viaje. There is one thing that worries me. One thing, singular. So preocupa, me preocupa, a simple present. And preocupa is the same for any subject. Te preocupa, to you. Le preocupa, to you, usted. Le preocupa, to him, él. Le preocupa, to her, ella. Le preocupa, to it, ello. Nos preocupa, to us, nosotros. Les preocupa, to you, ustedes, or to them, ellos. So it changes, but the conjugation is the same. Preocupa, preocupa, preocupa. Singular. Okay? So this is basically the four instances. Basically the four instances in which we can find the conjugation, different conjugations of the verb preocupar. Understanding that for the sake of the example, we use the word worry in English, but we can have different words that may be translated as preocupar in Spanish. It's a little bit complicated. It's not impossible. It's a little bit, as I always say, I think this is the most difficult part of learning Spanish verb conjugation. Anyhow, when we use these different kind of conjugations, we need to remember about the indirect object pronouns. And this is, let's say, for pronominal constructions. We have me for I, te for you, when it's two, singular informal close relationships. Le for he, she, it, and you, singular formal for usted. Nos for we, and les for you, ustedes, or they, ellos, ellas. Remember, I'm from Colombia. In this channel, we pretty much learn Latin American Spanish, so we don't go with vosotros, which would be another form of you. So we're not going to do that. This is Colombian Spanish. I don't speak Spanish from Spain, meaning that there are some subtle differences, being this one of those. Now, when we use indirect object pronouns, remember that sometimes in Spanish we add a mí, a ti, a usted, a él to the indirect object pronouns. This is basically in order to give emphasis to the action, but not necessarily. So, meaning that a native Spanish speaker can say, a mí me preocupa tu salud. I'm worried about your health. A mí me preocupa tu salud. Or I can say, me preocupa tu salud. Doesn't matter. It's pretty much the same. And you don't have to say it once or the other one. You would be fully understood regardless the form that you use. So this is as far as indirect object pronouns is concerned. Now, we also have direct object pronouns. Me, lo, la. You see, me for me, te for you, singular formal, tú, lo for him and it, masculine singular, it, or you formal, la for her or it, feminine singular, nos for us, les for you, all, ustedes, formal plural, los for them, masculine plural, and las for them, feminine plural. This would be the direct object pronouns. Like in the examples that I gave, if I say, yo preocupo a mi familia, yo los preocupo because are they, or yo preocupo a mi esposa, yo la preocupo because it's her. So this is basically for that kind of. And for the reflexive forms, we have the reflexive pronouns. We have me for I, myself, te for you, tú, yourself, se for he, she, it, you, usted, himself, herself, yourself, nos for we, ourselves, se for they or you, plural, themselves, yourselves. Now, be careful that because some of these mete, nos are the same for direct and reflexive, and some indirect object pronouns. Mete, nos, mete, nos, mete, nos. You see? You see? Are this me, te, and nos are the same pronouns for indirect, direct, or reflexive. The thing is that within the usage, the sentences and the usage, it's going to work differently. Although they are the same words, they're going to work differently. So when I have the three first cases in which the verb is going to change depending on the subject and the tense, we have these conjugations. So we have for the simple present, yo preocupo, tú preocupas, usted preocupa, you formal, ustedes preocupan, you plural, tú preocupas would be you informal. Él preocupa, ella preocupa, preocupa for it worries. Nosotros or nosotras preocupamos, and ellos, ellas preocupan. This would be the conjugation, the conjugations for the simple present depending on the subject. For the three first examples, meaning not pronominal constructions. The simple past, when we call the indefinite simple past, yo preocupé, tú preocupaste, you informal, for tú, usted preocupó, for you formal, ustedes preocuparon, for you plural, él preocupó, ella preocupó, preocupó for it, nosotros, nosotras preocupamos, for we, ellos, ellas preocuparon, for they. But we also have the simple imperfect past. Yo preocupaba, tú preocupabas, for you, for informal, usted preocupaba, for you formal, ustedes preocupaban, for you plural, él preocupaba, ella preocupaba, preocupaba for it, nosotros, nosotras preocupábamos, ellos, ellas preocupaban. We also have simple future. Yo preocuparé, tú preocuparás, ustedes preocuparán, usted preocupará, él preocupará, ella preocupará, preocupará, nosotros preocuparemos, ellos, ellas preocuparán. And also the perfect tenses, preocupado y preocupando, the gerund form, ing, preocupando. So, of course, you're not going to learn by heart all of these conjugations, but at least you can keep them as a guide and start doing exercises, because that's the way we learn, by repeating, repetition, association, exposure to the language. That's gonna help a lot in your process. Now, when we use the pronominal constructions, that's where the plot thickens a little bit, because we have to use the indirect object pronoun, and we have to keep in mind the conjugation of the verb, which is the same for all of the tense, regardless the other. So let's say here, let me see if I can change this size a little bit, yeah, like this. So I have here the conjugation for all of the tenses, which is the same despite of the subject. So in this case, Me preocupa llegar tarde. Me preocupa llegar tarde. This is a pronominal construction, right? Being late worries me. And as you can see, I use the indirect object pronoun me. This is an indirect object pronoun because of the structure of the sentence. This is not an object pronoun. Although me is the same for direct, indirect, and pronominal constructions. The word itself is the same, but the usage is different. In this case, me works as an indirect object pronoun. This is something that at least we need to understand just to avoid confusions. And I can change this for you. Te preocupa, the verb remains the same. For él, le preocupa. For usted, le preocupa. For nosotros, nos preocupa. As you can see, the verb remains the same. And because llegar tarde, being late, is one thing that worries me, singular. Same thing for all of the tenses. Let's say the simple past, which is the second here, simple past. Preocupó. So I can say, me preocupó llegar tarde. Me preocupó llegar tarde. And this would be worried me. Or me preocupaba, which is the same. Or if I go to the simple future, me preocupará. And this will worry me. Again, this sentence in English may sound a little weird, but this is for the sake of the explanation. This word can be used, it's grammatically correct in Spanish. And remember, if I'm already here, this conjugation is going to be the same for all of the subjects. I can say, nos preocupará, for us. Te preocupará, for you, usted, I mean, tú. Le preocupará a usted, a él y a ella. Les preocupará a ellos o a ustedes. And it's going to be the same. Me preocuparía. This one here. Me preocuparía llegar tarde. Me preocuparía. Need an accent here. Me preocuparía llegar tarde. And this is would worry. Conditional. Me preocuparía llegar tarde. Again, here can be for any subject, and this is not going to change. Te preocuparía. Tú. Nos preocuparía. Nosotros. Les preocuparía. Ustedes, ellos, ellas. So as you can see, this is basically the conjugation when the object is singular. Now, we have also, let me see, this is 9. Okay. We have also when the subject is plural. So in this case, let's talk about, let's say that we are talking about laws, new laws. New laws is plural, several things. And I can say, the new laws worry me. I get worried about the new laws. In Spanish would be, me preocupan, because this is the conjugation when the object is plural. Me preocupan. You see? And once again, it works exactly the same. For that tense, for the simple present tense, I can change the subjects and the conjugation is going to remain the same. I can say, te preocupan las nuevas leyes. Let me move this a little bit. Me preocupan las nuevas leyes. Te preocupan las nuevas leyes. Nos preocupan las nuevas leyes. Les preocupan las nuevas leyes. Or, si me preocuparan las nuevas leyes. This is part of a subjunctive because it's conditional. If the new lies worried me, si me preocuparan las nuevas leyes, you see I'm using this, si me preocuparan, and this one can be, si te preocuparan, same thing, si nos preocuparan, si les preocuparan, it won't change. So this is basically how you use this verb. This is very interesting. And the more videos, the more verbs we learn and we work in the same way, you will realize that basically the rules are the same. The rules work, right? So what's the idea? Remember, this is always the idea. So exercising. The first step would be for you to start writing different sentences. Let's say I'm going to write these 4 sentences, like in which subject, verb, object, then with direct object, pronoun, then with reflexive pronoun, and then pronominal construction for this verb. Different sentences, right? You can do that, right? Oh, see, yeah, I'm doing this right, I'm doing this wrong, I should do this, whatever. The next level is to start reading. Check texts in Spanish. You can ask ChatGPT to create a 400-word essay about something using pronominal constructions, subject, verb, object, and blah, blah, with the verb that, or with different verbs. And you're going to start trying to spot the verb. Oh, yeah, this is subject, verb, object. This is a direct object pronoun. This is a pronominal construction. This is a reflexive form. Then you need to step up, to raise the bar a few notches. Then you're going to go listening, watching news, podcasts, TED Talks, videos, movie series, small scenes of a few minutes, trying to identify by listening. Oh, yeah, he's using this. The verb is being used like this. And mirror, shadow the whole thing. Repeat, listen and repeat. And of course, the next step is to speak. I mean, the next level. You can start trying to speak just as at once. It's going to be hard, but it's not going to be impossible. You just need to be properly motivated. And that way is how you're going to get to improve your skills. And as you can see, if you've been following this series of videos, you will see that what I'm talking about. It's like, oh, okay, now it starts to get, I'm getting used to this. See? If this is the first time you get to this channel, watch this kind of videos, check the whole series. You're gonna find pretty much the same thing. There are some verbs in which I don't go with the full forms because they're not pretty much very used like so. And most likely, whenever we have these kind of conjugations, I'm gonna go and show you how we do that in order for you to get an idea and try to fully understand how Spanish works. Spanish is easy. Well, now I'm kidding. Spanish is hard. But the hardest part is this, verb conjugation. That's it. Other than that, it's pretty much subject, verb, object. Some soundings, nothing impossible. So hopefully I'm going to be able to bring resources to help you in doing so. I hope this is not going to be confusing. It's pretty much easy. I hope you're going to study and practice a lot. This is a matter of practicing. Practice makes perfect. So make sure you're going to check the whole video to do your own exercises, to build your sentences, to start using this verb as soon as you can. And the more that you use it, the more that you're going to understand its use and how to conjugate the verb in the different forms. So if you have questions, check the video as many times as you need. And if you still have questions, leave a comment. I'll try to reply as soon as possible. If you like this video, remember, you know what to do. Please share with your friends, groups, social media. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. Click the bell button in order to get notifications because we're posting videos on a weekly basis. And that's going to help us also to grow as a channel. So I really appreciate you for watching the whole video and looking forward to bringing more videos like this. So see you later. Study much, estudien mucho, aprendan mucho, sigan practicando y nos vemos en un próximo video. Bye.